call the Laguna Monterey Water District special meeting on February 17th at 4:03 p.m. In attendance, we have a quorum, myself, Scott Friedman, Jason Starkey, and Bill Donahue, and Dr. Adam Lalonde are present. Absent, we have Bill Water.
Talk about the notice when it was posted. How it was posted.
Talk about the notice when it was posted, Carlos.
Okay, the notice was posted today. I think the email, Orlando, will you send it about noontime? The information to the board members, to all the board?
All right, I'll read it.
Okay,
This notice is posted at the office of District February 17th, 2021 at 2 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041, 551-050. This is an emergency meeting where proper notice has been given.
We can do a pledge and prayer if you want.
Boom, let's knock it out. So we'll do the
Okay.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance, okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Heavenly Father, we thank you again for another day, Lord, that you will help us express all the situations that happen at our water district, water treatment plants, and also wastewater plants, that we all could come and work together and see how we can take care of problems like this in the future. And we just thank you for everything that you blessed us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Thank you. Okay, the agenda item says update board members on power outage and statewide freeze effects on water and wastewater system. That's the only agenda item that we have. So on Monday, when we got the hard freeze, the water treatment plant, one of the power surge protectors burned up. So we had to replace it, and by that time we lost like 8 to 10 hours of water pumping, because we were pumping the clear well without any treatment. So the manager at the water plant finally got that, and the electricians and Orlando or IT, they installed the new power surge protector. And by that time, we had lost quite a bit of water in the clear well. So we finally got 2 modules going. And when the second part of the power surge protector was installed, we had a power surge for 2 of the racks. And 2 of the racks got, burnt parts in there where the communication was failing, and the sending messages and receiving messages back and forth through the computer were not working for those 2 racks. And then finally on yesterday, Tuesday, they had were pumping 4 million gallons of water out to the system, which in turn it was actually between 3 million and 4 million gallons per day due to the backwashing of the racks. They eventually have to be washed every 2-3 hours. So every time that the backwash came in, we were losing water, we were losing ground. Finally today, Noe and the crews, and I guess we were all there today, and the third module, the third rack was repaired by using parts from the 4th rack that was out. So today, as we speak, the pressures are going up. We're about 40 psi, and everybody has water as we speak, except people that are having water leaks due to a lot of the frozen backflow preventers. So a lot of water was lost during that same time, and a couple of large water leaks that transpired. We found them yesterday, and then today we're finding more water leaks, trying to make up for all that water that we're losing and we may be losing some water still, but we're looking for more water leaks all day yesterday, all day today, and found quite a few of the backflow preventers that are broken. So that's one of the major issues is water leaks at the same time that we lost a lot of water with the power surge that burned up. Anything else you want to add, Charles?
No, just the fact that, maybe the blessing in disguise was being able to get the altitude valve installed at Outage tank while our system was down.
Okay.
So that work is
Charles, could you speak up a little? I can
Charles,
barely hear you.
louder.
Yeah. The other, if there's any silver lining to this cloud, is when the system got drained, we were able to get the Outage tank drained as well, so we can install that altitude valve. So we have the contractor working there as we speak, and we got that water under control, so that install can finish without any additional disruption, and then just the fact that we got the water plant 2 back to 3 racks running, or 6 million gallon per day capacity here, like about 10 minutes before noon. And with that, we can keep running 2 high service pumps and maintain pressure as the demand increases in the system.
And also yesterday afternoon, about 8 p.m., the water tower at Outage had about 20-something feet of water that was stored in there when they closed it up for the repair that they're making there. So we finally opened it up and utilized that water, and that's when we got a surge of water back into the system since 8 p.m. last night. And South Padre received quite a bit of that water from that part of the storage tank. And finally, as Charles was saying, draining it out, it was draining it out to the system. When we opened the valve, it went back to the public. And they utilized that water. Once it went down, they shut it down, and they worked on the tank today all day, and they got it repaired.
Yeah, it's
Correct?
work in progress, but they're going to get it done.
Okay. Robert, anything that you can recall?
Basically, what happened was that, as Carlos explained, the clear well, or our water that was in the storage tank, drained out. And by that time, when we're trying to get back in, it was a matter of trying to meet the supply with the demand. And we just were running behind all the time because the demand was too high for the supply that we were pumping out and trying to fill in our clear well. Along with that, one of the other things that happened with the power being out is that a lot of the lift stations that don't have pumps, and we had sewage that was being spilled out. So we had the crew out there trying to put some pumps into the lift stations to be able to pump some of that sewage out. That was basically what happened.
And mostly the main problem was that a lot of people were dripping their water lines so they wouldn't freeze during the night for Monday and Tuesday. So we kind of advised through our Facebook, to make sure that they can close them back or close their irrigation meters also. And that was one of the main problems too, that it kept draining the water out, trying to put more water in the system, and then having those drips everywhere, and then water leaks at the same time. So that caused a lot of the pressure drops. And what else? Anything else? Any questions?
How long is it going to take to fill the tank then up on the island?
No, we should be back on good pressure.
Yeah,
And
right now it's
when they finish that valve install.
There was a valve they had to fix, right?
But we got it pinched down to where we have the water under control for them to continue work. We had maintained pressure in our system.
Okay.
They're still working on it.
Yeah, it's just closed right there at the tank, and so nothing's
Right.
cut off.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Explain, right?
And
Excuse me. Can somebody explain what went wrong with the microfiltration modules that we had 2 of them down, or 3 or 4 of them down? I don't understand that.
yeah, a lot of people, it's hard to explain, but we have 4 modules out there, 4 trains or racks. There's 3 words to describe that. 4 racks, and then 2 were burnt instrumentations where communications was failing. and you couldn't get the 2 racks going, so we only had, and each rack can treat 2 million gallons of water. So with 2 racks down, we only had 4 million gallons, and then besides the backwashing of those racks that happens every 3 to 4 hours, when they went to backwash mode, we would lose pressure and production at the same time that they were backwashing. So those modules that burned up because of the power surge protector that actually burned up first caused that problem when we connected the second time with the new protector. I guess it had too much power or something was not correct in there.
It was,
with
it was
freeze.
too much power. The power surge protector that burned out was at 120, and we couldn't get a hold of one, so we finally found one from our wastewater system, and we got the one from the wastewater, but that was at 240 amps, and so when they installed that put a damper in the racks, and that's when
Mr.
a couple of
Gomez,
those
I'm going to
burned
ask
out.
you to hold on a second. Thank you. Gentlemen, I would propose the following 2 things since we're all here on an emergency meeting. We all got a lot to do, and the district has a lot to do. One, I'd propose that we ask staff, when this emergency is over, to give us a full written report of exactly what went wrong and recommendations to avoid that going wrong in the future. If this was like a once in 100-year thing and there's nothing we could have done about it, great. Let's study that and find out. Or did we make mistakes in our preparedness that potentially we shouldn't have made? So I'd like staff to make a report on that, but that we should hold off on dealing with. I think we need to focus on right now, what do we need to do to get water at 100%, and what do we need to do to communicate to the public how to get water at 100%, and then also what are we going to do internally to make sure this board is aware of what the hell's going on, so that we're not in this position looking stupid when 400 people are calling us and we are totally clueless. Let's get those things sorted out right now, and then we'll worry about looking back at the next board meeting.
Adam, I think the biggest thing we need to do is make sure that Carlos, or whoever the representative is in touch with the city managers or the mayors of each district, and let them put it out from there, because they're calling the mayors, they're calling the city managers, and if we just have those people and contact them, then let them put out the information from there.
Right, and that's what actually is happening. Is I'm communicating with the city managers in Laguna Vista, Port Isabel, and South Padre Island, giving them the information where they can pass it on to the customers through their website or whatever's working for them, because that's what they wanted. So, and the other thing is that the parts are coming in already to repair the racks that are, one rack that is out of commission right now. So the parts are coming in, hopefully from actually New York. That's where the PAW unit, microfiltration, is from. But usually we have extra parts on everything, and this time it just happened that we needed more parts than actually 1 or 2. So we're planning, and I have advised our director of operations and the water plant manager to have extra parts available for everything. And the other thing is we are planning to make that report for the board and see whatever else we can do to publish it. I did talk to the newscast this morning, and they're going to put out some information for us that we do have to have a boil water notice in the next few days until we complete the bacteriological sampling, and then right after that we'll be working on everything that we need, keep up, and hopefully that we can take care of situations like this in the future.
Yeah, Dr. Lalonde, and what happened a lot, what really hindered us at this point was the electricity being out. I know that you all
Yeah,
are
you
getting
guys
contacted.
do realize that when we
and-
tell people that there's a boil water notice, people can't boil their water and that they're laughing at
No,
us?
we realize that. The thing is that the
Yeah.
TCQ, our regulators,
It requires
requires us to do that no matter what. So we did that.
I want to
We-
interject for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, this
but
has
let-
nothing to do with the fact that it's a state mandate. I understand that it has to do with our communication. And we can't just go out there and be like, hey, everybody, boil your water. We have to maybe be a little bit more in touch with the way we communicate things, with some acknowledgement that, hey, we know this is going to be difficult because many of you don't have electricity. Maybe we could work together with the cities to help get people water who absolutely need water and can't get their water boiled. There's a lot of old people in these communities who are stuck right now. And it's sort of tone deaf when we go out there and say, hey, boil your water, peace out.
No, we also mentioned that we recommend for them to drink bottled water, and that's my recommendation, and that's all I could do, and nothing else, and that's
If I-
what we did. Go ahead.
I want to piggyback off of some, I think, eloquent points that Dr. Lalonde has made. Can you hear me okay, Scott and Adam?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
But I also am going to interject, though. I mean, I have not had cell phone service or internet in 3 days. So, I mean, that's the current situation the majority of the folks are already facing.
Yes,
Take it from
and
there.
nor have I. But I drove all the way to Los Fresnos to acquire both and communicate with all the clients that I'm serving too. So where there's a will, there's a way. And this could have been our finest hour as it pertains to communication, and we fell extremely short. And I know this because of the numerous phone calls I'm receiving from the 3 mayors represented in our community. And so, again, to reiterate what Dr. Lalonde is saying, I want an extensive report of what went wrong, what we learned from it, how we can prevent it in the future, if at all possible. But I also want to have a real conversation. Can we turn off phones by any chance? I really want to have a conversation about how we communicate, because the communication was not effective, it was not consistent, and in my opinion didn't even exist. And the Facebook posts that were made were vague and created more fear and concern than they alleviated. And I do not put that on Victor. Victor is a tool that we should use as a district. He should be doing what he is instructed to do, not trying to communicate what he feels is the best form of communication. My wife, for example, got on Facebook and saw that we were supposed to conserve water, which was really confusing when we couldn't even get water. So I know all the points that that were just made by the administration within this district were very they're in the know, but we need to come together sooner. This emergency meeting should have happened Monday, in my opinion, or a hell of a lot sooner than Wednesday at 4:00. And we should have been talking about regularly how we can more effectively communicate with our constituents, with the mayors, with the community, and with each other, quite frankly, because we didn't do a good job of that at all. And we need to learn from that today. And in our next board meeting, we need to have an agenda item talking about communication during times of emergency. Because this should have been, again, our finest hour, and it was not. So fix what happened obviously needs to be the top priority, in my opinion, and then learn from what happened from a production standpoint and moreover from a communication standpoint. Couple questions I have. My understanding is a surge protector went out, and in Carlos, your initial comments, you mentioned there was a period of hours that existed before it sounded like we even knew that the surge protector went out. So on Monday, was anyone present at the treatment plant, water treatment plant 2?
Yes, the water plant manager arrived at 3 a.m. and started troubleshooting the moment there was a problem.
Perfect. So there was a communication that existed between our system and our manager. So we knew,
Yes.
But we basically got there and we couldn't correct the issue because of lack of resources or what. It sounds like we had to find a surge protector, which we took maybe from
This is the full backup
sewage
system. The backup system for the master control panel is what failed.
Understood.
So we needed to maintain that protection in some way, shape, or form. So we were drawing at straws, pulled the surge protection from the PIS sewer plant, tried to use it. It was the wrong voltage. We had to do an emergency stop, prevent additional damage, and then we were chasing burned out power sources, bad wires, lost communications.
Wonderful.
And it was just
So we
one
weren't
after
asleep
the
at the wheel. We were just reeling because of resources or lack thereof that we had to immediately solve the problem that we found ourselves in early Monday morning. Is that a correct
Yes.
assessment?
I mean, pretty much we were running all day Monday, losing storage because demand was higher than what we could pump out. We were cut down to 4 MGD. People out in our service need more than that to maintain pressure. And then essentially last night we still had 20 foot of water in the Wasatch tank. So around 7:38 p.m. we opened up that tank. That got people through showers and able to flush the toilets on last night. And then at that point, we were able to pick up the pressure at the plant 10 psi, and by the morning we were up to 30 psi. And then by noon, we got the third rack running so we can maintain 35 psi and get up to 40. And so that's basically how we got through the nightmare. But I mean, there's still one rack where we have to order parts through Paul Corporation. They're giving us the quote so we can get back to a full system. And we can, maintain our demand with the 3 racks up and running.
We never did anything with Plant 1, though.
I was getting ready to
No,
ask the same
Plant
question.
1, we were
Because
trying.
someone told me, well, I heard you guys were opening Plant 1. I
We
go,
were trying to.
And I,
We
and I was
were-
going, I don't know
It just
anything
didn't
about
happen.
that.
No, well, we tried to open it, but it was not in a condition where it would work. With chemical feed lines weren't functioning, sludge pump wasn't functioning. We never even got to cleaning up the filters to pump out. So
Right.
the fact that water plant 1 is in a state that was in, I mean, we didn't have redundancy to cover this power emergency. Because, we've always put ourselves in a very critical position at Laguna Vista, pushing that plant too hard. And what we never wanted to happen is what happened this week.
Exactly.
And so,
Hence the reason the bond passed, hence the reason Water
Yes.
Treatment Plant 1 with microfiltration and being fully operational is all of imperative. And see, this is information that actually worked to our disadvantage because a lot of the rhetoric was, well, we approved the bond and now we lost our water. I'm sorry I'm screaming at you guys.
No,
I
no,
just-
no, it's fine.
I want them to hear me.
Yeah.
But I really think communication is king here, and transparency sometimes is scary because we're like, heck, we don't want people to come at us, but what ends up happening is they come at us because of lack of understanding of what the facts are.
Yeah.
And then, mayors get involved and they're getting pressure from their community. And I would like to really, when we leave this meeting, if there's any way to put a general, statement of exactly what happened, what we're doing, broad strokes, doesn't have to be mass details of engineering for,
They won't understand it.
layman's terms.
Yeah.
Of basically reassuring them that all hands have been on deck from Monday morning. This is whatever.
Yeah.
Let the board look at it via email, and I'd love to get this out at 6:00 tonight. And I'd love to communicate at least once, but twice a day until we're fully functional at hopefully the end of this week. Is what I think we should do moving forward from a communication standpoint.
Yeah, well, just simply from our cell phone communication. Right now, we can only have this meeting because this is a Verizon personal PC that I have. Our T-Mobile system is not functioning. And so if we had Verizon, we wouldn't be having the down communication within our district because we have an inferior provider from the performance of this past week.
I think we need to look at that too.
And the other part of it is our technical support for our very complicated plant is located in upstate New York. They need an internet connection to get into our system and fix it at a programming level, and we didn't have that this whole week. And we have
Although Noe was in contact with tech support from the corporation more than half a day on Monday from about 2-3 o'clock till about 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, but they
And
was
then yesterday
he
as
was
well,
he was in contact with somebody on the phone who was working blind.
Right,
He could not
right.
get into our system
Well, I
because
understand
there
that,
was no
yeah.
working internet. And right now we're sitting on a proposal for Spectrum to run a cable. It's an $8,000 cost to get Spectrum to feed a hard coax cable to Water Plant 2 because our wireless system is what's failed. In addition, it's still not working.
Yeah, whether Spectrum would have been even available, we don't know.
No,
it's
been down.
This point
It's not our
because-
wireless system.
It's not the wireless system? Okay,
No.
so it's not the wireless?
Spectrum that is completely down.
Okay, so it has been Spectrum.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
even if we had a
So
wired
that's incorrect.
connection through
Okay.
It's not our
Spectrum,
wireless system.
it still would not have, Spectrum doesn't have a service here.
And that's the
And
reason.
these are
Yeah,
all
let's-
these are all things that I think, and Adam's going to jump in here in a minute, but Adam made a great point about getting information from all of our resources, like Orlando and our tech support, like the gentleman at Water Treatment Plant 2, and the issues we have at 1, the communication difficulties you just expressed with New York and our system. There should be some redundancy there. Obviously, we're using Verizon right now instead of T-Mobile or
We're using
T-Mobile, yeah.
No,
well,
we're
The
Verizon
whole
right now.
district uses
Right now, but I mean,
T-Mobile.
Well, T-Mobile's our company.
For our company contract is with T-Mobile, so all of
But
our
you're saying it's
employees
not working.
have
Yeah, it's-
T-Mobile, but T-Mobile's network failed, and so we haven't been able, we've been having a lot of trouble communicating amongst each other.
So parts and communication is the two things that we really need to look at and learn from once we get everything fully functional. But again, I want to reiterate, I really want to facilitate a blanket communication statement from our district that's put on Facebook, that's if possible get on the news medias, on our website, to our mayors directly. I can't reemphasize how important just to call 3 mayors is on the regular. Like as much as you communicate with us, you need to be communicating with them that much as well. And they can disseminate that information through their various different communication platforms as well. But I'll kind of end it there. Those are the 3 big things, in my opinion.
And
Adam, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I have something I want to add. Carlos, real quick, who put forth the boil water notice?
I did. Actually, I sent it
Okay,
out.
great.
I mean, we talked to TCQ, when was it, Monday? That they were in contact with us, and we kind of let them know that what was happening here, and they told us that we had to do that water boil notice, and I authorized them to do it.
Okay,
Adam,
I mean,
he's gonna
I'm
do it.
100% in support of the boil water notice, and in the same way that we made a notice for the boil water, I would like to put forth a notice, and the notice, I don't know, I'd word it something like an update on Laguna Madre Water District, and just title it that, and in one paragraph, state quickly what went wrong, in the second paragraph, state quickly what we're doing to address it, and in the third paragraph, state how committed we are, again, to making sure we work nonstop until everybody has fully superior water that is at high pressure. And it needs to be a quick 3-paragraph notice, and it needs to go out today.
One of the
and
things, Adam, with this boil water notice, what we should have said was something like, we understand that you cannot boil water, but this
Yeah,
is,
I mean,
this is not,
let's-
this is not drinkable water. You can use it for bathing or whatever, but we suggest
agree.
you drink bottled water, because us saying boil water, I know, I got the same thing. They said, are you guys nuts or what? Don't you know the
Yeah, I
Everything
know.
you're saying on that-
So the
on that
why,
notice
the why.
is
I think a
correct.
lot of what we're trying to reiterate here is the why. We realize it may be difficult this time to boil water. However, per TCQ or whatever, in times like this, we still have to give you a notice to boil it. We
Well,
recommend
we
you do not
suggest
drink
use
the
bottled
water,
don't drink
use
it.
bottled water or whatever, but there needs to be some layman terms why behind it, not just a blanket statement of boil
Yeah.
water, because
But
what that really is.
unfortunately, TCEQ doesn't allow you to alter their boil notice letter. That's a state
That's-
mandate deal.
That's right. So I'm not suggesting
You can't
we do a
alter
boil water
their
notice.
letter or fluff it up. That's the bad part of it. They make you post the letter, but it's a standard formula letter that you can't change or alter.
Right.
That's great. I don't care about a boil water notice. I care about an update from the district, which we should be giving the
Oh, you're
public
fully
so they
correct.
know what's going on.
Correct.
So
They're
let's
fully
make
correct.
sure.
But can we not
That's,
tell them to use bottled water?
No, we can. I did.
Yeah, you wouldn't. That's
Yeah,
not where I was
I
going either. You don't need to get into a
No.
pre-approved document and modify it, but you can accompany it with more information.
Such as the press
Yeah,
release.
I just want to update people on what's happening and reiterate that we're working hard to address the issue. And that has to happen so that people know we're working hard to address the issue. And they know that we're doing everything we can to get them the water that they want and that they think they pay for, and that they do pay for, not that they think they pay for it. So I would just want to communicate with people where we're at, how hard we're working. And then, Carlos, I hear everybody talking about, like, oh, tough getting texts. Maybe I'm the only one. I've sent and received texts from probably 50 different people since Monday. So I don't know what type of service everybody else has, but I haven't had any trouble sending and receiving text messages. So I would really like, Carlos, if I can get a daily report at noon, just a quick text to the group, and that just telling us exactly the status of operations, what we've accomplished, what we're working on accomplishing next, and just maybe continue that until we're back to 100% so that I feel like we're in the know. I would have loved to have got that Monday, Tuesday. I think we needed a much more specific directive today that there was going to be a meeting in that text group. I had a hunch that Jason didn't know about the meeting, and that's why I chimed in so that he would know, hey, we got this emergency Zoom meeting. So, Carlos, you or somebody from the water district,
I can do it.
Like
Yes, sir.
yeah, doesn't need to be any more than 4 sentences, but that way we all feel like we're informed and that we're a cohesive board operating together for the best of the district. So those are my 2 asks out of this meeting. That one, we give an update today by 6 or 7 o'clock to the public, and it's published in some sort of official format, not just a hey, here's some junk on Facebook. That we actually post it, and in our best capacity, maybe we do a email blast, just so that we let people know how hard we're working. That's ask 1, and ask 2 is that we get an update by noon every day as to what has happened in the last 24 hours and what we can expect to happen in the next 24 hours. And I'll sort of leave it at those 2 asks. I think those are 2 good things to accomplish out of this meeting.
I
Yes.
concur, Dr. Lalonde.
Yes, and
Scott.
if you can see the way when I send the messages, I've been sending messages to all the group here, and it comes out like this, saying, look, try again.
Yeah, there's a lot of text on this thread, Adam. He's showing me
He
on his
sent me a
phone that's
text
not
at
going
12:30.
through.
I didn't get it till I was coming over here.
All these texts are for you guys,
Yeah.
for the board members. Look at
Well,
that.
yeah, well,
Look at that. And-
Battery's just
Okay, well, that,
So,
that makes me
we're-
feel better,
we're gonna have
Carlos,
to
so
work
I'm
on
glad that you're trying.
changing that.
I'm really, I'm holding your feet to the fire on this, trying to get the information, so I'm glad you've been sending it.
Mm-hmm.
That's much appreciated. I was surprised. I was feeling like I was in the dark. Maybe we need to revert to email only over the next couple days, whatever you guys think is the best way to get that information out.
Well, especially with the contacts of the mayors or the managers, have their email addresses so that they get their information right away.
Right, and
Yeah,
we don't even
I
have email
support
right
that.
now. Our connections for the email, website, or the internet is not working.
well, the
The
email's
server
working.
itself here in Port Isabel, we don't have any electricity yet.
Email's working if
How-
you access your email.
Email's
That's-
working because I got the Zoom email.
Yeah,
Something's working.
Your email's working if you can get connected to it. The server itself is working.
You know,
I can get
it don't work
Yeah.
personally to each place.
Orlando, please give them some oversight to help them send emails from phones or remote devices so that communication can be improved, because obviously text with the towers that are down is making it really difficult.
So,
And as we alleviate these issues and not being reliant so much on one form of communication, I think what we'll find when we tell our community all these things that's going on, and then we ask them, to conserve water because we're trying to build pressure. I mean, this is still Texas, and this is a very resilient community. And if they have the facts and they know they're all working together to support the common goal, well, then I think we'll have a much better opportunity of achieving the pressure that everybody's been working so hard for 3 days to achieve. But once we start getting it, then everybody's toilet starts filling and everybody starts taking showers and everybody wants to wash their dishes. But if they'd had some information to tell them that is not a good thing to do right now, we'd have probably had some more cooperation. But anyway, not to beat a dead horse, we need to really learn from this, because, when this happens again in the form of a hurricane or another, let's just call it what it is. 2020 and 2021, it looks like, is the year of unprecedented.
Storm, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is the time of unprecedented historic events. So we need to start preparing ourselves to communicate when the next one comes along.
for everything. Actually, I think we need to change companies, look into getting a personal landline for the office here. So we're, actually we can get the communication to the city managers from here, from the main line. Look into what they're using. Because when I did talk to the mayor in South Padre and I mentioned the boil water notice, he said, "What? We know we can't water." But I also added, also recommend that they can have a bottled water
But
instead of.
what I'm saying too, when you
but
talk
there's-
to the mayor and you say something about, say this is by law, this is what we gotta do
Mm-hmm.
for the state of Texas, we have to issue this notice. We know you can't boil water, we're not,
Yeah.
but again, that's talking directly to them, maybe maybe that's what we gotta do, is make sure we got their phone numbers to talk directly to them. And if you can't get them by phone, maybe.
And I'd be okay with you having two phones.
He did.
Like if you had one with Verizon and one with AT&T, like there's no guarantee that one's gonna work over the other. So maybe our GM needs to have two different phones.
Right.
I mean,
That part's correct.
But-
There's no guarantee. I have AT&T and it's been so worthless. I want to throw it away. And that used to be the best.
yes, sir.
And now Verizon everyone is claiming. T-Mobile used to be the best. Every time these happen, we learn from them, and there are different issues going forward into the next one. There's no excuses. I mean, everyone is making valid points.
Right.
But the communication has just been horrible with the ability to get information out and the ability to receive information.
That's
Agreed.
right.
But we'll
I'll back
look
you up
into
on
it.
that, Scott. One sec. So while we're sitting here in this Zoom call, I just got an email from the Association of Water Board Directors giving out hot tips about water conservation during a crisis and communicating about how to get through this. So I bet you guys got it. That's exactly the type of communication that we should be putting out as an email blast. So look for it, Carlos.
Yes.
You probably get it, or if not, I can forward it to you. But I want an informative email to go out tonight that says, one, the board of directors just had an emergency meeting to address the water needs of the district. That should be sentence number one. And then say what has happened quickly, what we've done to fix it, and how hard we're going to work to continue working on it. All right? That's and if you want to give some hot tips, great. Give some hot tips. But it's mainly to let people know that we are paying 100% attention to their needs, and we hear them, and we're going to keep working until we get them their water. And you guys have been working to get them their water. The problem is we haven't told them, so they need to know. So that's it. That's
Okay.
look for that email.
Okay, we will. We'll try to do the best to get better at everything, especially communication instruments, better landlines that we need instead of the air connections that we have now. But we'll do our best, and I will send you messages daily as far as I can send them. Probably email if it's working
Email's
good.
probably gonna be the best,
So-
and mayor's along with it.
Ken,
Right.
when you send the mirrors, then you're gonna copy us what you sent them?
Of course, yes, I always do with, when I send something to the board, and I add Brian or staff at the same time.
Perfect.
But I will do that, and when we talked to the mayor that time, we did explain that was a mandatory language
Yeah.
from TCQ. We did explain to him.
Okay.
Brian.
Is there anything specific in what was, we passed with the bond, any kind of infrastructure, anything that we're gonna be built, that because we passed the bond, it's gonna be improved next time something like this happens?
Yes.
The water treatment
The
plant number
entire
one.
system.
That you probably wanna inform the public.
Yes, because we did have a comment
Say,
from South Padre
Hey,
Island.
yeah, it's really great you guys passed that bond, and this is what we're doing.
This'll
with the
prevent
bond
some of
to
that
make
problem.
sure this doesn't happen next
Yeah.
time.
I think that would be communication number 2 that you do tomorrow. Like there's just
There's
some,
always something
you're
there.
chopping it up and doing it every
I
day.
think that's the way, a really good way to frame it, a good talking point to the board, to the public, is like, yeah, you're right, we had a lot of mess ups, but it's a good thing you elected us, and it's a good thing that you passed that bond, because this is what the bond's gonna do.
Yep.
Obviously, we can't institute these things between, when the election was and today, it's only been 3 months, things don't move that fast, But these are the specific things in that bond that are gonna help with exactly this in the future, and this is why you passed it. And that way, I think that's a really good way to frame it.
I agree.
I had
100%.
a news interview today about, what time was that? Close to 11? 11? So, information that's coming out on channel 20 or channel 4 and 23.2, I think it is. Same information on what transpired and what we're doing and how we're gonna fix it. And at the same time that the lady was leaving the water plant, we had just repaired that rack, and I told her, hey, it's getting done. See, the guys already worked on it hard all day for the last 3 days, and they got it corrected today. One of the next rack is coming up. It'll pump 2 million gallons for the public, but we're getting things taken care of. So it'll come out on the news tonight. So I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
report whatever else
Here,
to our Facebook and South Padre, so they can understand that.
And it needs to be LMWD, like official letterhead, 3-paragraph statement, not just a standard Facebook post. It's like here, just like the boil water notice. We need to come up with our
here's
own
what,
little.
everybody knows that the grid went down, right? So if you can relate to the public, look, grid went down, when electricity goes down, water pumps and things stop, water plants stop. Generators are the answer to that, to the general public. If you can say the bond is gonna do this to our backup systems for our generators, so that this doesn't happen in the future.
Provide the
That's
redundancy.
not
Yeah.
later.
Redundancy of the
we need
water
capacity,
treatment.
which is what we're gonna get with our water plant.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
whatever it is, your technical thing, but think about like, I would think about a jury, you think about a regular person, what is it that they're gonna understand,
Mhm,
where do you need to hit your talking points? Me, a regular person, electricity went down, so the water stopped, that's why my cell phone's not working, it's the grid that went down, everybody's gotta deal with it, but if you're a water plant, what do? You have backup, right? You have backup power, if you have enough.
Which we
Is
do,
the bond
which
the
we
thing
do
that
have, but your
addressed
surge
that?
protector went out.
So you
Right.
you
We
can
had the
throw-
backup power, Brian.
Not only can you address that, hey, this isn't gonna happen, but you can also toot your own horn a little bit, talking about, hey, good thing you passed my bond.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah, because
We
it was
had the
mentioned.
backup power, but the manager didn't want to start the microfiltration again because we didn't have a power surge, and he was afraid to burn all of the racks in
See,
there.
no, public will never understand that.
Right.
So you gotta be more general.
I
Yeah.
mean, our biggest ability for the backup is the fact that we do have the potential to have 2 water plants running, and right now one water plant is not in a condition that we want to run it or could run it, which evidently we couldn't even start it up in this week when we needed to.
Oh.
So the idea is to get that water plant that's essentially out of service back to a condition that equals what we have producing today.
And in general terms, in layman's terms, conveying that message, I think is 100% appropriate. It doesn't have to be in tonight's communication. Tonight's communication's like, I realize you guys have been, this is what's happened, this is what we're doing, this is what we're committed to do until we see it through. Look for our next communication by X, time tomorrow. And then we're just going to keep chipping away at, this is what happened, this is what we're doing, this is what we're committed to do. And then the next communication can be like, great reason why redundancy is coming. Thank you for approving the 2020 bond. This will help prevent catastrophes like this happening in the future. And it doesn't have to be the real details around it.
One other thing we're gonna have to address, I know we've talked about a lot of leaks and that, because there's such a crisis with us not having water, we probably need to talk about, there's gonna be people's bills are gonna go like crazy, and we're gonna have to look at that to make sure that, hey, we just can't say, hey, that's what you owe.
No,
because
no.
that, we gotta.
I mentioned it to staff that we need to look at it
Yeah.
closely because we need to help the public on that.
Yeah, we
It's
we
an
don't wanna
emergency.
be the bad
so
guys
we-
after the bad,
Right.
like we.
Good point.
Yeah.
So to transition to something else I want to bring up real quick. We have a scheduled workshop for this Saturday, but in light of all the things that's going on, is that appropriate? Do we feel like we can satisfy that meeting and be successful with our current, endeavors? And I'm asking staff, not necessarily the board meeting.
Right,
the board.
and that question came about, and what I told the staff is that it depends on what the board wants, because we can handle that meeting easy. It's just that the board, if you all want it,
We don't know what's
we
coming.
can-
The Earth's supposed to get another cold front, so what I'm saying
Ugh.
is you probably
See.
should
Yeah.
postpone it and see what happens, because
Okay.
if it drops again, you got more problems.
More tomorrow.
Last thing we wanna do is be, have
Right.
you guys worry about me.
yes, and then that
Bump
can be
it up a
canceled.
week or two, and also discuss this.
See you Sunday.
What this conversation is about today. Also,
Yeah, what we learned
Add
today.
that as
I
a
agree with
topic
that.
also.
Yep.
And that would be the best scenario in my opinion.
March 6th?
Sure. And then you can add this conversation as a topic item also.
Adam?
So I hate to jump in here and spoil the party. I will not be available for a weekend meeting until probably April after this weekend.
Well,
So
can we do it during the week?
I'm still willing to meet, but I won't be around until April. I have every weekend flying all over the country and this here. Anyways,
Is it during
So
the
it's up to you
week
guys.
evening a possibility, Adam?
Yeah, I can meet during the week. That's fine. Well, there's 2 weeks in March that I'll be gone. So the week of the 7th through the 14th, and then the week of the 21st through the 28th. So yeah, that's a lot of days. I'm not around.
During the week sometime?
Can we go during the week of March, the March 6th week, where that would be like a 4th or a 5th? 3rd would be 2 weeks from today.
That's fine with me.
I cannot do the 5th, but I can do the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th.
What works best for you, Scott?
I was going on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I can do the 3rd or the 4th. Adam said he could do the 3rd, right?
Yeah, he said he could do 3rd. What's best for you out of
That's
those?
fine. It doesn't matter, day, night, whatever. I'm open. I'll be here.
Evening for me, later in the day, so I don't have to cancel my patients.
So March 3rd is what I'm hearing. Bill, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Give me a time, gentlemen. Would 5:30 work? Is that our next schedule? No, that's not our next scheduled meeting, right? Our next
Following
schedule
week.
Would be
The following
the
week.
would be the 10th. Okay,
5:30
so
works fine for me.
March 3rd then, 5:30?
Yes.
That's fine.
And that'll be our workshop to discuss capital improvements, but we're also going to add to that this. What do we learn? Reports will be given for what we learned from a communication standpoint, but also from all the other stuff that you were trying to convey. Material.
We'll get it, yes.
We're kind of also speaking on behalf of Dave. I hope he's flexible too with
He is.
changing the schedule and such.
He's the most flexible guy in the room. He'll be all right.
Hey, while we're talking and we're here, what about, you heard about that one community or something that had that terrorist deal, or somebody tried to bring down their system on a water plant?
Oh,
Do
Florida.
we have, what's our protection on that?
Okay, we do have a vulnerability assessment that we produced about 10 years ago, and that book is in a safe, where we're supposed to keep it in there, and it tells you, it gave us a lot of information that we can go back and look into it.
Well, if it's 10 years ago,
vulnerability.
what I'm saying is that something that we gotta look to update, because it just happened a little while ago, it was on the news, and I'm not, is
Right.
it still up to date?
It is, because the reason that chemical contamination at the water treatment would take thousands of gallons to contaminate the water by the time and then there's procedures that are taken, sampling of the water, raw water samples from the river back to the treatment plant daily. Well, I don't know about the river and all that, but the water treatment plant itself is raw water sampling daily. Where if a pH changes or any chemical, if something is added to the water, it'll change the chemistry of the water.
I just want to make sure, because
and it-
being on the board, if something happens and we had this went down, I wouldn't want to
Sounds
be.
like they were going to say something.
Yeah, I would like Orlando, our IT specialist, to be able to talk about that. Him and I have discussed that, a specific incident a few times. So I'd like Orlando to go ahead and just give it an
So,
update.
currently right now, where we're at right now, we've made, I've been here for 5 years, and we've made extensive changes to the security protocols.
Can you all hear that?
To the security protocols that we use when we connect either internally, intranet, or we connect from the outside. One of the biggest things that we have here is that I have a group policy which makes each user every 30 days change their password. So there's no stealth passwords. There's no passwords that are very easy to guess or that can be hacked through a automated hacking system that's normally used. All the passwords that we use and the devices or the software that we use, which is remote desktop, I've taken the necessary protocols on our router and our server to make sure that everything needs a dual authentication. As far as with a connection at the plant there at the SCADA system, I know NOE has a specific password, so it's not something that can be easily guessed. What came down, what we were discussing with the Florida incident is that had to be an inside job, that someone knew exactly what password to use, what username to use, They knew exactly. It took them 5 to 10 minutes to get to the specific chemical. So it's not really something that a hacker will definitely know. So one of the biggest things that they felt is that when I have trainings here, I always tell my employees, and that's the biggest thing. That's our employees are our biggest security measure, and I always tell everybody, always treat everything suspiciously. Just because you're used to someone connecting to your computer, you should question it. You should never be okay with it. So one of the biggest things that we changed here is that our employees are well educated as far as to security, being the first line of security here. So if the employees do happen to see anything, they always do come to me right away, and I always take care of it appropriately. It doesn't matter what time it is. So we have put not only education educated our employees, but we also have put software in the equation and hardware.
And we're also very fast also to remove privileges from anybody who we dismiss as well.
Perfect. That sounds great, and I'm glad you brought up the point. The only thing I'd like us to consider is if said employee is under duress. So what happens in the situation where they're under duress, however duress looks, how can we think forward enough to where there's an emergency fail-safe where whether it shuts down or quickly communicates, to other team members that, hey, something's going down, 911, let's think about that if we haven't already.
And I think that's what Carlos was trying to get to in his explanation of how the system is built to make sure that if there's a chemical that goes out of the certain ranges of tolerable ranges that the
They get
system
alarms.
has fail-safe
Wonderful.
alarms.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
instrumentation that's
Right,
included
exactly.
at the water treatment.
And that's what I
can
meant by our
decipher
hardware
right away.
as well.
Wonderful.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So,
That's great.
but if they're gonna try to
Okay,
do something,
I'm gonna
they
just
could,
sound the alarm here real quick, and the alarm says this is a really great topic to talk about at the workshop, but let us get back to the emergency topic of communicating with the public. I want to walk out of this meeting feeling like there's going to be some real action being taken place on that. And I'd love to hear more about our terrorism precautions on March 3rd. I think it's a great and valid question, Bill. But I really want Carlos laser-like focus on getting out this communication to the public, and then you're going to be updating us every 24 hours. And, on one final point, when we do talk about this on March 3rd, I would like to see it set up real clearly, like problem 1, recommendations for the future. Problem 2, recommendations for the future. Problem 3, recommendations, so that it's real clear what you guys, think went wrong and how you want to solve those problems, and have already come up with brainstorms around it. And that way we either can okay it or talk about moving forward with it. But it should be at that level of detail. Does that make sense to everybody?
Sure does.
Yep. Thanks, Adam.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
Motion to
our
adjourn?
agenda's taken care of. I'm ready to roll.
All right.
Good. I
Thank
second
you.
your
Thank you all
motion.
very much for your attendance and your time.